Hello friends, I'm atuldahale and welcome to my YouTube channel. In ongoing Online Nations Cup in the first round, there was one very interesting decisive game between Duda Jan Kryzstof and Dimitry Andreikin. Obviously, both the players are quite strong and the battle was also quite tense. In this game, we are going to look at mainly how Duda Jan Kryzstof played against the Hedgehog system, and I will also explain to you what is Hedgehog system and how it should be played from white and black both the sides, like usually what are the plans. And before we start, I will just like to tell you that Hedgehog system is all about patience. You need to be patient from both the sides, because whoever loses their patience are going to be in trouble. So without further ado, let's get started. And one more thing, if you are not subscribed to my channel till now, do subscribe. We will be looking at very good games from this Online Nations Cup. So let's start. Duda was white in this game, Andreikin was black. He started with e4, then c5, knight to the f3 and e6, d4, cd4, knight into d4 and a6. Well, this is Sicilian Khan variation, and just to let you know, Hedgehog system, that is structure, can be converted from or brought in on the board from any type of openings. You can play different types of opening, but the structure can be developed. We will see what is the structure. So white plays bishop to the d3, indicating that he wants to support the pawn on e4 with the bishop, not with the knight to the c3. We'll see why knight to the c3 is not played. Black plays knight to the f6, and now white plays castles. He develops his king side very quickly. Black plays queen to the c7, and now white plays queen to the e2. He is still not developing his knight. Well, why? We'll see. Black plays d6, and now finally he plays c4. This is his idea which white wants it to adopt. He wanted to play c4 before he plays knight to the c3, because he wants to control the central square and also the b5 square. And also this position is going to be led into a Hedgehog system. We'll see what happened. Here black has two options to develop the bishop on f8. One is bishop to the e7 and another is to play g6 and bishop to the g7. Well, g6 and bishop g7 is a little bit slow, but it is still solid. And black plays g6, then white plays knight to the c3, and then bishop to the g7 is played. And here white develops his final minor piece, that is bishop to the e3, and black plays castle. He completes his development on the king side. So here you can see that the Hedgehog system is going to be developed. White plays rook a c1, and then black plays knight to the bd7. Here the c4 pawn is a little bit weak, so white plays b3, supporting the pawn. He is playing very patiently. And now we can see that black wants to develop his bishop on c8, so he plays b6, and white plays rook fd1, completing his major piece development. Both the rooks are developed, bishops are also developed, knights are also developed, and queen is also developed. Black plays bishop to the b7 very calmly. He is putting pressure on e4, and white plays f3. And I can tell you this thing, that the Hedgehog system's setup has been completed with rook a c8, because you will see that in Hedgehog system, this is the Hedgehog system usually. What black plays is like he places his pieces on the first three ranks. He is not attempting to go ahead. Well, but it is like a kind of a spring which is holding on to the pressure, waiting for to be released. Okay, all these pieces have potential energy, and once they get the breakthrough, it will be very decisive from black side. Because what black wants to do in this position is like at right moment, he wants to play d5 or b5 and open up the position, and his pieces which are sitting behind, it looks like that they will be opened up and black will be having many counter chances. Whereas from white side, if you see, white is having lot of space advantage. His pieces are free, pieces are well developed also, and he has more space, he has more control in the center. But you cannot say that black is in trouble anyhow, because black setup is very solid. Okay, so we need to play patient. We cannot take any hasty decision from any side. So white just plays queen to the f2. What might be the idea of queen f2? Well, white is putting slight pressure on the b6 square, that b6 pawn. Okay, so black plays queen to the b8. The idea is like clearing the path for this rook, because this rook on c1 was there and it was putting some pressure on the c7 queen. And as I mentioned you earlier, there is a plan of d5 and b5 in the air from black side. Well, here another good move was played from white side, which is very usual in this setup. White plays bishop to the f1, just bringing back his bishop so that this rook will be opened up and white can put some pressure on the d6 pawn. And bishop will be doing good job on f1 because he is aiming all on this diagonal. Okay, and if it's needed, it will be protecting on this diagonal also, that this king safety will be there in his mind. So black plays rook f d8. Now in this position, white plays another prophylactic move. He plays king to the h1, getting away from all the checks and everything on this diagonal. Well, in this position nothing is coming, but the king h1 is a useful move just to wait for some time. So black plays h5. This is another idea in Hedgehog. He plays h5, h4 and h3 if it's needed. And another idea of h5 is like he is restricting his opponent's play on the king side because g4 was also one of the ideas from white side. So he plays h5 and now g4 is not going to come on board very easily. So white plays h3 so that maybe at some point he can play g4. Well, he doesn't need to play it, but he is just preparing. It's all about patience in Hedgehog. You need to play simple developing moves. You need to improve your position slowly and gradually. Okay, so black plays bishop to the e8, preparing b5, as well as the pawn on b6 is also protected by the queen. Okay, and there are some ideas also that the queen at some point can come to the b7 square if it needed, and it will be a good battery on this a8 to h1 diagonal. But for the starters, it is just the move so that the queen's file will be opened up and he can protect the pawn on b6, and also b5 is in the air. So white understands this thing and he needs to protect the central square. He doesn't need to play on the king side because here in this position you can see that white's pieces are mainly on the queen side. So white plays on the queen side. So he plays b4, controlling the c5 square and also threatening something like knight to the a4, putting more pressure on the b6 square. And if c5 is played in this position at any point, then it will be beneficial for white. Black plays knight to the e5, centralizing the knight and also attacking the pawn on c4. So because this bishop is the only piece which is supporting the pawn on c4, white plays knight a4, clearing the path for this rook and also supporting the pawn on c4. And one more thing white is doing, that it is attacking the b6 pawn indirectly. Well, whenever this knight moves, the pawn will be attacked by 3 pieces from white side. So black plays knight of d7. His also one idea is like he wants to protect the pawn on b6, that's obvious, but he wants to play knight to the c6 and exchange this important knight in the center of the board, and he will be attacking the pawn on b4 also. So here white plays knight to the b3, clearing the path for this bishop and the queen, and now the pressure is mounting on the b6 pawn. And here in this he played knight e d7 earlier to protect the pawn. He understood that he needs to go back. He goes back, then knight to the b3 is played, putting more pressure on the b6 pawn. And black plays b5 because the pawn on b6 cannot be really protected. He needs to go back. But b5 is a little bit serious mistake because after knight to the b6, the knight will be attacking the c8 as well as the d7 knight, and it is very important for black side to capture the knight. And once he captures the knight, the pawn on b5 will no longer be having the support of the queen, and the b5 pawn will be lost. So this was a serious mistake from black side because he lost his patience. Okay, as I told you, it's all about the patience and you need to play slowly and gradually. And here black played b into c4, trying to hold on to the position by playing like this, but his a6 pawn will still be losing. After bishop into c4, the rook on d8 is still hanging. He played rook to the e8, supporting or preventing his bishop from capturing, but bishop into a6, and now these 2 pawns are there on the queen side and these 2 strong bishops are there. Black is seemingly lost in this position. He plays rook into c1. After rook into c1, the game is already decided. Black tries to create counter chances in the center of the board by playing d5, but it's almost too late. White simply plays b5. Now the bishop will be moved and the b pawn will be ready to be moved forward. Black plays queen to the d6 and white calmly plays bishop to the c5, attacking the queen. Queen goes to the d8 square, and now it's time to move our pawn, that is the b6. And here he plays queen to the b8 because b7 was another threat to win the bishop on a8. White plays e5, blocking everything in the center of the board. Black plays knight to the d7, attacking the pawn on e5. He supports with f4, and black tries another last chance, that is to create some counterplay on the king side. He plays g5, but white is not going to do anything on the king side. He calmly plays bishop to the d4, His idea is quite simple now. He wants to play knight a5 and then b7 pawn is coming. And also there is also a threat of rook to the c7. The rook will be coming on the 7th rank, and again it will be a very difficult position for black. He plays g into f4, and here before he gets to the any position, because rook c7 or something like that will lead to this pawn on e5 falling, white plays a very simple move. He plays bishop to the b5, pinning this knight, and here black decides to throw in the towel. He plays knight into e5, but knight into e5 is not so good. After bishop into e5, bishop into e5, bishop into e8, and black is just action down. Plus his pieces are not so open. The bishop on a8 still is very bad, and white brings the queen in the game with queen to the e2, attacking the bishop, queen to the b8, and now it is just a matter of time when the position will fall. He plays knight c5 with the idea of knight d7. Well, then bishop to the d6 is played, and now white plays another interesting idea in this position. The tactical shot comes with knight into e6, because if f into e6 is played, then queen into e6 check, and you can see that the rook on c1 will be coming on c8, and black will be checkmated very soon. So he does not capture on e6. He plays queen into b6, but still it does not save the game, because after rook to the c8 he just resigned, because you can say that king to the h7 will lead to a checkmate with queen into h5 check and mate, and if he plays bishop to the f8, then also it is going to be checkmate with the same manner, and that's why black just resigned, one move short of checkmate. So you can see that from the starting to the end, white was improving his position slowly and gradually. He was not making any hasty decisions, and that is how you play Hedgehog system. You need to play very patiently. You need to develop your pieces slowly and gradually, and waiting for your opponent to make any mistake. Before your opponent makes any decision, you should not go for it. Play patiently. That is the main idea in Hedgehog system, from white also and black also. So I hope you learned the basic intricacies related to Hedgehog system and you enjoyed the game also. The way Duda played is really nice, and we will meet in another video with something good content. Till then, enjoy the games and do subscribe to my channel. I'm telling you once again, thank you for watching the video. See you. Bye.